What's going on, YouTube? So as most of you know, this generation of the Lexus GX has been around for a while now, but its unique combination of old school luxury and off-road capability means it continues to be a popular offering. Now for 2020, Lexus is putting it under the knife for another extensive refresh, which is why we're standing out in the cold rain this morning at Lexus of Lexington. Of course, we do want to take a moment to specially thank them for giving us such quick access to this new GX. And if you're in the market for any new Lexus, make sure you stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's see all the 2020 changes. So starting things off here on the outside, this is the biggest place that Lexus focused their efforts on. They definitely went for an LX inspired look this year by making the spindle grille substantially larger and bolder. But unlike the other Lexus models, the previous chrome bars have been eliminated in favor of a new black mesh across all the models. Now this specific GX also has the Sport Design package, which makes a pretty big difference in the overall look, since it adds the extra chrome surround across the bottom of the grille, and the dark gray lower body kit across the entire front. The other big update is of course the brand new headlights. Unlike most other Lexus products, on the GX they are including these very nice looking triple beam full LED headlights on all the models. They're obviously a big step up from the previous partial LEDs, and you'll also find LED fog lights on the bottom so long as you choose the premium or luxury trims. Now in regards to all the rest of the styling, well, it has not changed nearly as much. The side profile is unchanged, and the rear design is pretty much unchanged, besides for a slightly different looking exhaust finisher. Once again, this Sport Design package spices things up with a unique lower body kit and red taillight lenses instead of the normal clear ones. And of course, being a rugged SUV, you have a full-size spare tire underneath and a 6,500 pound tow rating. So all in all, while the look hasn't changed in a huge way, the new front really goes a long way in making the GX look a lot more modern. Now another important part of this refresh are the new wheel designs. For the first time, you can now get a GX with 19-inch alloys, which is what these are on this sport model, as well as on the luxury model, which has the same design minus the dark finish. Finally, the previous luxury wheels have moved down to become the standard wheels on the base and premium models. As far as the mirrors, the sport model adds an extra chrome accent, and every model now has standard blind spot monitoring for 2020. Additionally, the luxury adds power folding and auto dimming abilities. Now perhaps the most important upgrade in 2020 is that the GX finally adds all of the Lexus active safety systems as standard equipment, including automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, auto high beam headlights, and adaptive cruise control. These are features that a lot of the GX's rivals continue to place within expensive packages. But anyways guys, that's going to hit all the big changes on the outside, so now let's see what's new for the cabin. So right off the bat here, you will notice one of the 2020 interior changes, and that's that we now have an updated key fob. This is Lexus's newest design. Remote start, that still comes via the Lexus Enform app, and that will be free for 1 year. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, all you gotta do is grab behind the handle since it does have a sensor. And checking out the interior of the refreshed GX. As you can see, a lot of the main design components do carry over, but Lexus has changed out many of the details. Now some of those details are in different material and color options. So what you'll be looking at for 2020 is New Lux faux leather for both your standard model and your premium model. And that comes in black, sepia, ecru, or new for 2020, a Rioja red. So that's pretty cool. You'll also be looking at some different types of woods. So for your base model, that's going to come with the linear espresso wood. But starting on the premium model, you get this upscale gray sapele wood with the little aluminum lines that run through it. And then finally on your luxury model, you still have the option of this semi-aniline leather, which is beautiful, and that comes in the same 4 colors. Now turning over here to our door trim, as you can see, it is nicely appointed. All of the armrest area is going to be covered in real leather, and the top part will be padded with your gray sapele wood. Over here you got some more wood and 4 fully automatic windows, as well as 2 standard memory seats. And then coming down here to our seats, they are 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar across all of the trim levels. And then, like I already mentioned, this is the New Lux synthetic leather. I've said it in many other Lexus models though before. Very realistic, most people won't even notice. As a matter of fact, from what I remember, the previous real leather on the middle trim, that was a lot harder than this. This has a softer, more supple feel. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, we do have running boards and a assist grip. So for 2020, the design and materials stay pretty much the same, which is definitely a good thing since it was already a very high quality cabin. So across your upper dash here, we do have a nice soft touch plastic. Dropping down here to your middle, you've got kind of a silver trim with some wood inlaid inside of it. We do also have a nice leather patch through here with some color contrast stitching. Dropping down to our lower area, most of this is covered in more of that nice wood, as well as leatherette all through here. Now to start the GX, all you have to do is just press this button. And what you're looking at here is one of your 2020 changes right off the bat, and that's a brand new gauge cluster with a totally different design. And you do also have a new center display here. This is a 4.2 inch color multifunction display. Of course, it does do all the typical stuff that it does in all the other Lexus models, including over here you have your options for the newly standard safety systems. And then coming back to the steering wheel, it has been redesigned to the latest Lexus design. You do have leather wrapping, of course, on all the models. Standard on the luxury is this wood trim, however we have optioned it on to this premium model. Up top here you do have rain sensing wipers on the premium model and up. Lexus has also thrown in a fully power adjusting steering wheel standard across the board, so that's really nice. And then you also will have heating if you go for the luxury. And moving on to interior storage, the GX does have a pretty good amount for a vehicle of this size. So starting out underneath the center console here, we do have a nice felt line tray. It is removable. And then inside here, it is pretty deep with a little felt lining down at the bottom. You also want to mention that this adjusts both sides individually, so it's pretty nice. Underneath this piece of wood, we have our 2 cup holders. And then up in the front here, when you slide this piece back, you will notice a decently sized area right here with 2 USB ports, an aux jack, and a 12-volt outlet. Now moving back to the shifter here, you might notice that this has also been redesigned to look like the other Lexus models. Of course, it is just traditional, so you just pull back for drive. Bump over here to the left to shift manually. However, there is not going to be any paddle shifters on any of the models. Now heading on up into reverse, this is just the standard backup camera. Most of the models will come with this. We actually do not have active trajectory, which is surprising. However, on the premium model and up, we do have parking sensors. Now, the news this year is a brand new 360-degree camera system with what they call terrain monitor, which can kind of like see through the vehicle at certain points. That will be available as an $800 option on your luxury model only. Then as far as your mirrors, they do tilt down when in reverse to help you see the parking lines better. And of course, there are several other buttons located around the shifter. So what you'll see here is basically just your hill descent control. You have your four-wheel drive controls right here. And then we got some blank buttons on this model. They would be filled in if you went for the luxury. Basically, these would be concerning your rear adaptive suspension. Up in front of that, you will notice a little roller here. This is for your 3-stage heated and 3-stage ventilated seats. The 3-stage heating is standard on all the models. The ventilation comes on the premium and up. And then that will bring us up here to our audio system. This has the standard 10-speaker audio system, 9-speaker audio system, but there is a 17-speaker Mark Levinson surround sound system offered as an option. Well, let's go ahead and sample that standard sound system. Definitely very impressed by the fullness of the sound, especially on a bass sound system. And you do still have a CD player, which a lot of you guys will like. Alright, now above that, you'll be looking at your climate control system. It is 2-zone automatic on the base model, 3-zone automatic on the premium and up. Now, of course, it's very simple. You just have your temperature controls over here on the side. One thing you will notice, though, is that there's a lot of buttons here that are missing. As far as physical controls, for those missing things, you'll have to hit the climate there and make adjustments for things like your zones, as well as your fan settings up here in the display. Alrighty, so now that's going to bring us here to the Lexus Enform system. Now, this is one area that has not really seen any changes for 2020, which is a little bit surprising since the 4Runner has gotten an upgraded system with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's not the case here. You still will not have those systems on the GX for 2020. So this is an 8-inch touch display. The GX has always had a touch display, whereas a lot of Lexus models are just now adding that. But kind of going through the features here, you do have a standard navigation system. It is not the newest dynamic navigation system. And moving on up from that, we do have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with your 3 HomeLink universal remotes built right into it. Additionally, Lexus has also included a standard moonroof. It is just the regular size, of course, but like I said, it is included standard across all the models. I'm not going to open it, given that it is raining, obviously. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the front areas of the cabin. So now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Mason to check out all the back areas. And your seat and steering wheel do move out of the way to help with easier entry and exit.
So looking at the GX's rear door trim, it is a nice one and it has the same materials as the front. So we do have a leather padded armrest all the way through here, and the rest is a soft touch plastic. You do have some wood trim, as well as your automatic window. And down below that you have some bottle storage. And turning over to the seats themselves, you will notice on this GX we do have the captain's chairs. That is included on the sport package on the GX. So if you want the captain's chairs, you are going to have to opt for that model. However, you can get bench seating on the regular models if you want that. Now here in the center, the GX does throw in a lot of features for its price point. So we do have tri-zone climate on this model. So all you have to do is adjust your fan speed as well as your temperature right through here. And it is worth noting that not all models will come with the tri-zone climate. In that case, you will have vents back here instead of this control panel, whereas the vents on this model are located here in the ceiling as well as in the third row. Now in addition to that, you will also notice that we do have 2-stage heated rear seats in the back. That is included on the premium trim level. Now heading down, you will notice 2 new features for 2020, and that's these charging USB ports. Of course, this is your captain's chair, so you do have a fold-down armrest, as well as a cup holder here. It just folds right out. And I don't know if Drew has mentioned this in the front, but this does have a absolutely lovely headliner. This is one of the things that older Lexus models used to have, and it almost feels like an Alcantara. It's very, very nice. Now, as far as the rear legroom is concerned behind Drew's seating position, I have plenty of it. I have probably 6 to 7 inches of rear legroom, thanks to these nice neat cutouts. And the technical measurements are 34 inches of rear legroom and 40 inches of rear headroom. This car doesn't really have any technical competitors, but if you want to compare that to the RX for reference, that is a little bit less. Now in order to get into the third row itself, Lexus has made it pretty easy. So all you have to do is locate this little handle, push it up, and it does fold and slide right out of the way. Now looking back into the third row, you will notice it is a 2-seat third row. And let's just go ahead and get back there and see what it's like for an adult. So my first impression back in the GX's third row, it doesn't seem like I have a lot of space back here. Legroom is pretty much non-existent for someone of my size. And another thing that is quite lacking is the thigh support. This is pretty much expected for a body-on-frame SUV like this. However, if you're really looking to haul a bunch of people in the third row, it is not going to be very comfortable back here. But off to the side, we do have a cup holder, as well as a little armrest portion. And Lexus was nice enough to include some vents and an assist grip. Now heading around to the GX's tailgate, for 2020 it continues to have the signature side opening tailgate. However, if you don't have room to open it all the way up, Lexus was nice enough to include popping for just the glass mechanism. You can use this button or the key fob, but if you want to open it up fully, just grab the little handle here, and it does open right up. And once inside the GX's trunk, you are going to find a pretty decent amount of space. You're going to find 12 cubic feet of space behind the third row seats. It expands to 37 cubic feet if you fold them, and a maximum of 65 cubic feet with all the seats folded. Now, depending on what you compare that to, it is going to be pretty much less than most of its rivals, like the Audi Q7. It's actually even less than the Lexus RX, but that's to be expected here with a body-on-frame SUV with this much capability. Now, as far as how Lexus has finished it back here, it does have pretty nice finishings. And in order to fold the third row, it's a 2-part mechanism. So all you have to do is grab this little strap, folds the headrest, and then grab this and push forward. Now, it's actually very easy to fold it down. However, getting it back up is pretty difficult since this bumper is so wide here. But it is worth noting that it has a power third row if you go for the fully loaded luxury model. And off to the side here, we do have a typical household style outlet. And if you're looking for the spare tire, it is under the bumper, connected by a chain, and it's a full-size spare tire. Coming over to the passenger seat, of course it is power adjusting. And in front of the passenger, we do have nice materials, as well as a good sized glove box. It opens quite wide, and it has a pretty good depth to it. And up top, we have a sun visor with a light and mirror. And it does also detach, as well as has an extension in the end. Well guys, that pretty much sums up all the rear areas of this 2020 GX. So now let's go ahead and get on the road and see if they've changed anything there.
Alright, so first acceleration in the 2020 GX 460. Power feels very good. Of course, 460, Lexus is one of the few automakers that still maintains numbers that actually have a meaning to the engine. 4.6 liter V8 does carry over this year. Still producing 301 horsepower and a little over 300 pound-feet of torque. But it is a big, burly, naturally aspirated V8. And you can certainly feel that straight off the line. And very importantly, you can hear it straight off the line. Really makes a great sound.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of buyers are going to appreciate that engine. You know, a lot in this class have V6 options, and you know, this is just go straight to the V8. You know, and another thing that buyers might appreciate when you get inside the GX is, you know, just how smooth it rides. Even though this is a old school SUV with that body on frame design, it does still have a very smooth ride. As you could tell, we hit some storm drains and some rough patches in the road, and it really just handles it very well. You can tell it's a luxury car, and they've tuned it accordingly.
Right, and the luxury trim level, if you were to specify for that, that's going to get you some active dampers as well, so the ride only gets smoother from here. This is very much a truck that accelerates on its torque. Like, well, of course, this does have a 6-speed automatic transmission. That does carry over once again from the previous model years. So as you just saw, like, as we were accelerating there and I was pressing onto the throttle, we didn't even drop a gear.
No.
We're just propelled by all the rich torque of the V8.
And it's also worth noting that this car does come standard with full-time four-wheel drive. Obviously, this is a very capable truck, which is very unique in this class of vehicle. This is basically a Lexus version of the 4Runner, and pretty much all of the large luxury 3-rows that you might be cross-shopping this with are not as capable as this truck. So if you're going to be doing any off-roading, or I mean, even in stuff like this, you know, it's raining, you know, it is good to have that capability as an option.
Right, in other markets, this is known as the Land Cruiser Prada, and you know, you can basically think of this as LX Junior, especially now with the way that it looks. It really fulfills the LX Junior status. So with Lexus, you kind of have the ability now in their lineup to choose between the more urban option is going to be your RXL with 3 rows, or you can choose the GX to go for the real traditional feeling SUV that has lots of capability off-road, of course. You have a traditional powertrain that is ultimately reliable So this is the type of vehicle you can buy in 15 years from now. There's almost no doubt in my mind that everything in here is going to be functioning exactly the same way. And that can't be said about a lot of the newest luxury offerings.
Now, unfortunately, you do pay that price in terms of fuel economy. This is definitely not going to be at the top of its class. It's rated at 15 city, 19 highway, 16 combined.
So overall, as far as your driving is concerned, Lexus has not really made any changes in this regard, and I think that is a good thing. This car, it gets a lot of grief from certain people. It really is all in the way that you think about the vehicles. A luxury experience can come in multiple forms.
So basically what we think is that if luxury to you is the newest tech, the highest quality cabin, the most modern stuff, this is not your cup of tea. But if luxury to you is reliability, dependability, a smooth engine, this is really something you need to check out. Now, for the pricing for this 2020 GX, you are going to find very competitive pricing, if not a little bit cheaper than most luxury 3-rows. So for the very base model, and keep in mind that 4-wheel drive is standard across the GX lineup, so for the very base model and 4-wheel drive, that's going to start at $53,000. If you want the premium, which is what we have here, that's going to be $55,790. And if you want the fully loaded luxury model, that's going to be $64,265. Now, as far as how this model is equipped, we do have several options on top of that. So we have the headlamp washers for $100. And then we have the premium sport package. So as you can tell, we have the sport exterior design. And that's going to be the big ticket item at $5,510. And then you have the wood and leather steering wheel for $300. Some floor liners for $345, and the cargo mat for $285. And finally, when you add in the destination charge of $1,025, this particular model as equipped comes in at $60,565, which, like I was mentioning before, is a lot cheaper than most luxury 3-rows, and this car is actually very capable. So this is definitely a unique offering in the class and something you should check out. Well, guys, we've enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the refreshed 2020 Lexus GX 460. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.